And speaking of education, for the first time since the beginning of the COVID pandemic, the federal government will start collecting again from people who owe. According to the Education Department, 42.7 million borrowers owe more than $1.6 trillion in student debt. Only 38% of borrowers are currently making payments. Let's bring in Washington Post national higher education reporter Danielle Douglas-Gabriel. Danielle, great to see you. Today is just day one of this attempt to have people start paying back. What can you tell us about how it's gone so far? There must have been borrowers waking up this morning realizing they now owe big.
So, I mean, this is a very specific subset of borrowers. We're talking involuntary collection. This is for folks who are in default on their student loans, and that's about 5 million people. Starting today, about 195,000 of those people received a notice from the Treasury Department saying, if you don't make payments, we're going to start seizing tax refunds, seizing Social Security benefits, and later this summer, garnishing your wages. And by the summer, you could see all 5.3 million people who are in default seeing their wages garnished. So there are a lot of steps here that folks can take to avoid those sorts of consequences. And I think the department is really trying to hammer home that, call your student loan servicer, log in to see whether or not you're delinquent or in default, and figure out what the best payment option is for you.
And one of the ironies is the president is actively pushing to have the Education Department shut down. But what exactly is it doing, the department, to start collecting these payments?
So the department is working with its loan servicers, which are effectively contractors that manage the portfolio for the department. And they're really the first point of contact for a lot of borrowers. Companies like Nelnet and Mohila are the ones that are probably sending the letters and the notices telling borrowers, hey, you need to start paying, you're behind by either 60 days, 90 days. And, it's time for you to figure out a plan. Now, where this can get complicated is for borrowers who need help. After reaching out to their servicers, if they're unable to get someone, they tend to reach out to the department. The department's federal student aid office has been decimated. So I anticipate, and many people I've spoken to anticipate longer hours in terms of trying to reach somebody. Call centers are just not staffed the way that they used to be. And that's going to create some problems as people are trying to figure out what's the next plan.
Already going to make a rough Monday even worse if they can't get someone on the phone today. You've been covering Republicans eyeing massive reforms to student loan debt and to Pell Grants. What do they have in mind going forward?
I mean, we're looking at a really slimmed down federal student loan system if Republicans are successful with the reconciliation bill that we've seen last week. And this would be whittling down all of the repayment plans down to two, cutting eligibility for Pell Grant, especially hitting people who are part-time students, a lot of community college students, older students who may only be able to afford to take one class at a time. They could lose the maximum eligibility for a Pell. So that would be a big change there. A lot of the lending programs for parents would be remarkably reduced, as well as the end of graduate plus lending for grad students. That would change. And we'd also see caps on how much people can borrow. It very much is important to note that some of these reforms are things that have been pushed in a bipartisan manner in the past, but the level and the extreme nature of some of these reforms, I think, are worrying a lot of people about reducing access and eligibility for college and higher education.
Well, we'll see where this goes. You make a good point here. It's about 5 million people, you said, who are in default overall. About 195,000 of them got notice today to start paying up or watch wages and tax refunds get garnished, right?
Yes, or in Social Security benefits.
Yeah.
I think the big part that we have to pay attention to is there are about 4 million people who are 90 days past due on their loans. If they are unable to make a payment plan, they can also end up in default and face all of the consequences of wage garnishment, Social Security benefits, as well as tax refund being seized or withheld.
And it creates an unprecedented, never before seen kind of economic crisis for millions of people. We'll see. Danielle, thank you so much for covering that with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.